Well, hello there. My name is Vinay and you guys know me from Instagram as Vink Photography, and I'm back here at the Nanlite India studio in Mumbai. As you guys know that I always love using point source of lights. That's like COBs, LED lights. But the special thing about the light that I'm reviewing today in this video is basically that it's not just a bicolor light, not just a daylight balance light. It's basically a full spectrum RGB COB light. So let's review the Forza 60C, the chosen one. Let's go.
Confirmed office is down 1980 Park Avenue.
So basically, the Forza 60C is the third light in their Forza 60 lineup. It's a 60 watt light, as you know. The beauty about this light is, of course, that it's really small. It's a compact light. It can even run off V-mount batteries. It's portable. It makes no sound. It is perfectly cooled all the time. And now it comes in its third variant, which is the Forza 60C. There's a Forza 60, there's a Forza 60B, which is the bicolor version, which goes from tungsten balance to daylight balance. And then you have the full spectrum RGB, because I mean, why would you just want warm and white? You want everything. And this is basically a light that lets you do that. And the beauty of this particular light is that it's not an RGB that comes in a tube form or a small mini LED light form. It's a full single point source of light, and that is the best thing about it, because the kind of shadows and the kind of quality and the light fall off that you get on the face of a subject, or the environment that you can create and how you're lighting it, a point source of light is always going to be able to light it up the best way. And now you have it in RGB form. So gone are the days that you have to gel up your lights, you have to find a way to stick stuff to your COB light and make it RGB or whatever color that you want. You switch on your phone, connect it to the Nanlite, connect it to the Nanlink box, and all you have to do is just click on the color in the color wheel and you have the light that you want, the color that you want, and it's fantastic. It's perfect to show all the kinds of emotions that you want through your photographs via your subject. You want to shoot something in red, you can just turn it to red. You want to shoot something that's right at the sunset, brink of sunset, those color tones, just shift the CCD. You want to shoot a scene of angst, a scene of jealousy, you want to show some greens in there, you got greens. Because it's a point source of light, you can actually put on a softbox on this, you can even put on a Fresnel, or you can put a specialized Nanlite reflector, the RF45S, and yeah, you can just really tweak how this RGB light affects your scene. And that's the beauty of using a COB light that comes in an RGB format. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about the good stuff. The best and the most remarkable thing about the Forza 60C is that it's this small. Any other light that you must have seen that's a 60 watt light, a basic 60 watt light, when you're getting into video, when you're starting off and you're purchasing your first video COB LED light, it's still a chunky unit. Even though it's a 60 watt entry level light, it's still going to be a chunky unit. This one is the size of my camera. So I exclusively use the Fuji X100F to shoot. This is the smallest camera you can possibly carry with you everywhere that you go, anything that you shoot. It's the size of this light. It's as big as the Forza 60 light. And that just goes to show that you can carry something this powerful to light your scenes, to light your subjects, to light your interviews, to light anything and everything that you want to light up. And it's this small. So carrying it around is not going to be a big deal. And because it's this small, the modifiers that come with it are equally small. That brings me to point number 2, the modifiers. So as you can see, the modifier that we have currently attached to the Forza 60C is the RF FMM 45S. That's basically a newer version, a slimmer version of the basic reflector that comes in the kit, which is something like this. Is also smaller than a regular reflector that you get for a Bowman's mount. Now, this is a Fresnel barn door set. This is again a really small attachment. The usual barn doors that you get have bigger flaps. This one has smaller flaps, it's a smaller opening. It's very easy to attach to the Forza 60, 60B, 60C. They're all the same. They have the same mount basically. It's different from the Bowman's mount, but nonetheless it has accessories built for it, because if the light gets smaller, the accessories also need to get smaller, otherwise there's a bit of a weight difference and it can damage the light. Even the softbox is smaller. So the parabolic softbox that's lighting me up right now is a 90-inch parabolic softbox. This one's I think a 40 or 45 inch, I'm not really sure. But again, it's still smaller. It packs lighter, it packs efficiently, and it packs in a smaller bag. So you can see the trend that's going on with the Forza 60 series and the accessories that go with it. It's just a very, very friendly kit to shoot with. And of course, because everything is so small and so refined and so efficient to work along, it's a great companion if you need that kind of power and you need that kind of a setup to still light your scene up, to still light your subjects up, your interview up, and not feel like you're missing out on anything. So yeah. Now the third point is actually how wide the range of the CCT mode is on the Forza 60C. The usual CCT modes on bicolor lights goes from 2700 Kelvin to about 5700 or a little more than that. So it can go from warm to cool. Let me show you how cool and how warm this gets. Quite interesting. Right now I'm on CCT mode and I'm at CCT 2000. I'm just gonna point the light towards the camera so you can see how it's fading out and how it's working. So that's CCT 2000 right now. It can go lower than that to 1800 and you increase that. And right now I'm still on CCT mode and I'm going all the way up to, holy shit, okay, 20,000. So of course at this range you are getting blue light at the essence of it, but it's still got more white characteristic than blue characteristic. It's almost like a desaturated blue light. So you can get a very wide range in the CCT mode in this light. And the beauty of that is to get that perfect sunset hue that you want, filling up a scene, filling up a room, you don't have to go into the HSI mode and make it an orange yellow sort of mashup. We have daylight and we are coming to the sunset light. The lights behind me, as you can see, are actually at their lowest CCT temperature, which is 2700. This one is more orange than them because it goes up to 1800. So you won't notice the difference in the video, in this video perhaps because it's a review, but you can definitely feel this difference when you light a scene up and you get this light straight off the bat. You don't even have to color grade it, adjust it. In post-processing, it's already done right out of the box. That's the beauty of it. If you love sunsets, you'll get this light just to make sunset light at home. It's a sunset lamp. It's a really expensive sunset lamp. It's a really portably expensive sunset lamp, but it's very good. Now the fourth point is basically the special effects. I'm just going to change this CCT mode or just dim it because this is an RGB light. It has more things that it can do than just strobe and just pulse and stuff like that. Because it's RGB, you can get a lot of interesting things going on with it. And let's just try that. Let's just try a few of the effects that it has. This is a hue loop. So it's going to turn from various hues throughout the spectrum. So this is called an interval loop. Interval loop is basically you give it a range. You give it a range from minimum brightness to maximum brightness. Right now we have it from 0 to 17%. You can even set the speed. So it's basically going from 0% to 17% and how fast it's going and what temperature is the light going to be at. So stuff like that. Basically, however you want to light up your scene, whatever characteristics you want your scene to have, this light can do it in any way and with a lot of controllability, and that's the beauty of something like this. There's a CCT flash, so you have temperature that you add and then it's going to flash. It's like a strobe basically. When you have a hue flash, change the hue, it's going to flash. It's more like, you know, you can have a nice red light going on in a very eerie scene in the middle of the street, and this light could be that light that you could use to light it up. And it's interesting, it gives a more mysterious vibe. Again, it entirely depends on how you use it. Then you have hue pulse. You basically have, so whatever used to be the CCT effects in the previous lights is now the hue effects in this light as well. So those are the added features essentially. Then you have storm. Storm is my favorite. And then you can just basically create and recreate a storm sort of sequence. And the good thing is, because this light is portable, you can do the storm sequence outdoors. Again, the storm effect is there in the previous light as well, but I think the way that it plays off in this and the kind of frequency, the algorithm that's running the storm, it's pretty good. It doesn't seem too fake. It doesn't seem too repetitive. It seems like it's got a nice randomization to it. Paparazzi is pretty interesting. So it's like you can just have it flashing. You can have a nice glam sort of sequence built around this kind of an effect, and it'll look pretty cool. And then you have a candle fire, the usual. Then you have disco as well, which I think will be my next favorite. If I ever get this light is just going to be pointing up at the ceiling and it's going to be lighting up my house parties. Because why not? Who wants to buy lamps? We buy Forza 60C. welding, explosion, firework, bad bulb. It's got a lot of effects basically. There's no point talking about so many effects. You guys already know that this light does have these extra features. If you feel you need them for your scene, this is no brainer. This light's gonna do that. The last and final thing about this light that's great about it, of course, that's great about all the Forza series lights, it's just that it's portable. And by portable, I mean that it's not small. It's not just small. It's actually portable. You can just take this off the power that it's running from the plug point. You can strap on the portable handheld stand, and all you have to do is just place in some Sony batteries on top of it, 2 Sony batteries to be particular. Why I say that's a good thing about this particular light is because it's an RGB COB light, 60 watts that you can handheld with Sony batteries, and you don't have to plug it in. Just let that sink in, because that stuff is straight off the future. That stuff means you can carry these lights with soft boxes, with Fresnel mounts, with projector mounts, outdoors into the jungle, wherever the hell you're trying to shoot outdoors, inside a car, and you can light everything up how you would indoors, just outdoors, and just with this Forza 60C. So it's pretty good. But alas, if a light's good, it's got to have some things that are not so good about it. So what's not so good about this light? I mean, it's not really anything bad per se, but it's a general preference, if you may. Because this is an RGB light, the back panel that we have over here doesn't have a lot of buttons, to be honest. It has 1 knob and 2 knobs, and a mode button in the center and a power button for us. Now what that means is, because this light's so full of features, it can go RGB, it can go bicolor, it can do CCT, it has effects. Changing between these effects from the light itself is not really a very easy task. So it's not about this light being too feature packed to be able to handle the noise. It's just that I think because of the small form factor, you don't want to have so many buttons going on in there. The usability will be affected. But if you're using this light without the Nanlink app, you might find that it takes you a little longer to set stuff up. This is the light right now. We will try and change the hue of this to green. Okay, turning the dial, 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 still turning the dial. And we are somewhere at green now. So it took that long to bring this to green, and then to move it back and change the saturation of green and stuff like that. It does take a little time because, of course, this light's not in your hand. It doesn't have extreme control because it's going to be on a stand. Unless, of course, you're using it portably or you have an assistant with you. You can, of course, guide them. But if you're individually planning to operate this light, yeah, it's going to take some time, but it'll get the job done. But this whole bad thing about this light just completely goes to waste because it's not really a bad thing. Just get the Nanlink app, makes your life easier. Why the hell won't you do it? I'm just telling you from perspective of using this light as it is out of the box. You should still anyways get the Nanlink app. It doesn't really matter. The second thing that I feel is bad about this light is that knob that controls the amount the units increase for the hue, for the saturation, for the brightness, for the exposure, is that it's a little slow in the sense because it's a little tiny knob, and you can spin it around. You just have to spin it around a lot of times. Spin it around a lot of times for the right number to come about, for the right perfect number. And if you spin it too fast, it overspins. Means it's not really going to change any value. It's just going to spin and not really change the number. But I believe that's, again, this light's not supposed to be used without the Nanlink app. So if you have the app, it works. I'm just trying to find out something that's not really perfect about it because this light's perfect in every other way possible otherwise. Third thing about this light that you should know that perhaps falls under a con to some degree is that the Forza 60 series has a Bowman's mount that's not really a Bowman's mount, not the universal Bowman's mount. It's a little smaller. That means you are going to have to buy separate accessories for it. You won't be able to use your original Bowman mounts accessories on this. You can perhaps step it down with a converter. Such a big 90-inch softbox, you should anyways not put on such a small light because it's just gonna go disbalanced and your light will get damaged in some way or the other. Nevertheless, because the mounts are a little different, you get different accessories. It's also a good thing. But the bad thing is that you'll have to rebuy some of the accessories because you can't reuse the old Bowman's mount accessories that you have. So, one thing to note, not really a big thing. You should definitely buy the accessories anyways because it makes the whole kit even more refined, more efficient, and more easy and friendly to travel with. And that brings me to the end of this video. This was a very basic, simple review of the Forza 60C. It's new in the market. It's great. I'm also wearing a Nanlite shirt today. It's represent, as you can see. But essentially, at the end of the day, you should definitely think of looking into getting this light, at least if you really love point sources of light, if you really love to play and expand the creativity of your potential, especially with lights, and if you want one light that does it all, but at maybe 60 watts. At 60 watts, you have enough power to do anything that you want for an indoor creative environment. Maybe outdoors it might be a little less. It can't battle the sun, it can't fill in the shadows that way, but it's still plenty enough. You now have unlimited potential with just this one piece of equipment. It really does so much help to everything that you have ever imagined to create with lights, creatively, commercially, or however you want. And why this light is so great and why this light is the chosen one, it's because it's Forza 60C. C stands for chosen one, not color. It is the chosen one. It's my next best, my most sought after light. I'm going to be looking into purchasing this sometime soon. And if you give me anything that's basically RGB and it's a COB point source of light, I am going to splurge all my cash on it, the very chance that I get. So yeah. So a few more videos are definitely coming out from this Nanlite studio before I head back home and set something even more basic up as compared to this pretty gigantic monstrosity of a set that I've created with Nanlite equipment. But nevertheless, more videos coming out. I'm doing a 3-part light series. I'll show you guys how to light with one light, with 2 lights, and with 3 lights in the next few videos following after this one. So with that, catch you in the next one. Bye!